Hello there! So today's video is about what to teach on Outschool. I hear this question over and over. A lot of people would like to teach on Outschool and just don't know where to start. So if you, first of all, haven't heard of Outschool, go check out my video that I'm going to link up here so that you can get a better idea of what Outschool is. But basically it's a teaching platform and you can teach pretty much whatever you like, almost, and you don't need a teaching degree to do so. So you can work from home and teach children from 3 to 18 years old. My name is Yvonne. I am hey.misskay on Instagram, as well as heymisskay on Facebook, and I have this channel and it's all about teaching online and getting hired with VIPKid, as well as Outschool. But like I said, today I wanted to talk about how to come up with ideas when it comes to teaching on Outschool, because the options are limitless, and that's almost kind of a problem. When you don't have a limit, it's hard to decide where you want to go with your expertise, with your knowledge and everything. So I'm going to give you my 10 tips or strategies to come up with lesson ideas. And at the end, I think I even have an extra one because 10 sounds better than, 11. So let's go. The first and most important thing is to think about your passions and or your expertise. And again, when we say expertise, or when Outschool says expertise, you don't need a degree in whatever you want to teach, but you do need to show that you've had experience with this. So a quick, just little example of what I like to use often is like knitting. If you say, I didn't actually take any knitting classes, but I've been knitting for the past 10, 20 years. I've knit sweaters and hats and all these things. Well, that is considered expertise because you've done it so much and so often. So just think about the things that you like, that you are passionate about, that you know you can do well, or that you are an expert in. Maybe you do have a degree in something and you are very knowledgeable in that area. Just those are the two things that you want to start out with. Now that you've narrowed that down a little bit, I want you to think about 5 topics that you can talk about easily for 30 minutes. So it can be dogs, it can be politics, it can be baking, it can be, again, anything. And if you feel like that is something that you can easily talk about for 30 minutes, that could be a good topic for one of your classes because you have a lot to say and a lot to share. And we're going to go a step further, and if you decide on dogs, you say, I love dogs, I have a dog myself, or I have 5 dogs. Now take it a step further and make smaller categories. So you have dogs, that's wonderful. But now this is the teacher in me. I want you to break it down. What about dogs can you talk about? Well, maybe you're saying, I know how to train dogs. I know how to feed dogs properly. I know different breeds. So that's great. Well, how about start thinking about, okay, I want to do classes on how to train your dog. Well, what do you want to teach your students? What to do with their dog? Do you want to teach how to fetch or how to roll over? So every time you're getting a little more and more precise with what you would like to talk about and teach, and those can all be different lessons. So you become the dog expert. Parents and students will come to you when they seek that expertise. You are a dog trainer. Now you can be more than one thing, but don't spread yourself too thin, because exactly that, you won't necessarily be an expert in anything if you're trying to do 2 lessons on dogs, 2 lessons on baking, 2 lessons on knitting. Like there's no consistency there. Okay. And then the same thing with feeding, how do you feed a dog properly? What should a child be looking for when they are shopping with their parent? You can teach them all of those things. And then same thing with breeds. Maybe you want to do a class on how to choose your dog. Give them information about the different breeds and what they do and what they can't do and how big they are and if they shed or if they don't shed. Those are all topics that you can cover as an online teacher. My next tip is to think of themes. So if you like the younger children and you want to come up with some fun classes for them, you want to teach them the basics, maybe the alphabet, maybe counting, maybe just some short words, reading, phonics, all that stuff. Think of a theme that could go along with that lesson. So if you yourself are a big unicorn fan, well, you can create a lesson around unicorns and teach them how to count. You can choose themes, try and go with very broad themes like pirates, animals, farm animals, ocean animals, places, jungles, deserts. Think very broad like that. Don't go too specific into Disney or other themes, because you need to ask for permission to use their material and to use their characters. You just want to play it safe. So if you do use something, if you do use a specific theme or specific book, make sure you ask for permission first. Let them know how you are going to use it in your classroom, because it's not same as public school teaching. So you are making money off of them, off of using their Disney characters. So just make sure you ask for permission first when you do go into a very specific theme. My next tip is to think from a child's point of view. Think, what do children love? Again, put yourself in an age group, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 10-year-old kids, maybe high school teenagers. Put yourself in their shoes and try and either remember what you liked or just think of what would be interesting for a child that age. And going along with that, that is my fourth tip, is to ask those children. Ask them. If you have your own children, ask your kids, and most likely you will even know what they like. I would hope so. But maybe you don't have any kids, and that's okay. You might have nieces and nephews. You might have neighbors. You can just flat out ask, hey, what do you like? What is interesting to you? Is it trucks? Is it princesses? Is it animals? What kind of animals? Oh, predators, that's great. Or maybe it's insects, it's butterflies, whatever it may be. That might just help you narrow down a theme or a class a little more, because then you know if so many children have said and mentioned the same thing, you know there will be interest for that class. My next tip is to think about how you can get your students involved. Maybe you know what you want to teach, but you might not know how to teach it and how to get your students involved. It's very important that they're just not just sitting there in front of a screen and taking it all in. Are you going to ask your students to move? Are you going to ask your students to sing, to dance, to jump, like I just mentioned, move every time they count a number? Are you going to make it interactive and have them on a different device during class answering questions maybe? I know there's Kahoots, there's Nearpod that is also becoming more and more popular. So think about those things. What kind of class would you like to create? And then with that, if you're saying movement is very important to me, well, think about how your topic of dogs and movement can go together. And then that's how you can create your classes. Maybe it's how to play with your dog. Maybe it's exercising with your dog, and just create those lessons based on those two things that you like and that you want your lesson to be like. You can also sit down and start making a list of how-tos. So start your sentences with how to. How to count to 10 in Russian. How to bake chewy chocolate chip cookies. How to tie your shoelaces. How to create art from recycling material. Anything that you do yourself, maybe on a daily basis, or that you've just always enjoyed doing, and create it into a how-to class. So that is another idea that you can start thinking about. I think we're on number 7 now. So the next one is, think about if you're known for something. Do people come to you for help? Do they come to you for baking tips? Do they come to you for gardening tips? Do they come to you to fix things? Is there something that you are known for that people come to you when they need help? That is also a great start of an idea for lessons that you can create, because it can be a very hands-on lesson. If you're good at fixing things or building things, you can definitely set up in a shop or in a room in your house and show students how to put something together. So just start thinking about, what do people usually come to me for and ask me for? Is it advice? What kind of advice? Could you create a lesson for teenagers that are starting to struggle with what they should choose or how they should be with their friends, and knowing the difference between right and wrong, or is there right and wrong, or just opinions? All those could be really, really interesting classes. So number 8 goes along a little bit with themes. It's trending. What is trending? I can't speak today. What is trending at the moment? If you look at when you go shopping or even TV shows, what is trending? Is it unicorns? Do people love the unicorn patterns everywhere and you can buy a unicorn hoodie and the unicorns on your shirt? Or is it glitter? Is it dinosaurs? Is it cacti? That was for a while trending. So just think about things that are trending, and then once you have an idea of what's trending, how can you now build a class around that? If it's unicorns, well, are you going to do a sing-along? Are you going to do a read aloud? Are you going to do just a show and tell? So kids can sign up if they have a favorite unicorn toy or plushie, and then show everyone, and you're going to be working on maybe some manners, or how to wait for your turn, or just feeding in on the excitement and showing their objects and maybe adjectives describing their unicorn. So that, again, is another great place to start. And now the last 2. So every Sunday, we are sent a list of class requests. So as a parent, you can request a class. If you don't see a class, if you've searched and you don't find the class that you're looking for, you can request for it. And teachers get that list at the end of every week, and then you can base your lessons off of that list. Now, what I do highly recommend is that you don't necessarily just base it off of one request. If it's this one request that hasn't been asked for many times, then maybe there really is only that one learner that would take it. But if you are seeing something that is being asked over and over and over again, then two, three times, then obviously it's something that people are looking for. And then you can create a class based on those requests. And if you do use something from the list, there's a link right there. So anytime you see a title, if it's, if I'm just going to say how to tie your shoelaces, there is a link right there that you click on, you create that lesson, and then whichever parent actually requested that is going to get a notification, and they will be notified that somebody actually made a lesson based on their request. If you would like to have access to that list, you just need to sign up as a teacher, even though if you're not ready yet to create any lessons, that's okay. I have my link below, and if you use my link, please email me so that I know that you've used my link, because I will just see your name, but I have no information. I can't reach out to you. I don't have your email. Just reach out to me, and then I can help you through the application process as well, if you want to. And finally, the last thing that you can do, or it can also be the first thing that you can do, is go check your state standards or province standards or curriculum online. Just Google it. You should be able to find it fairly easy. You can just ask a teacher friend or your child's teacher to send you the link to all of the standards, and then you can take a look at it and see at what age they should be learning what. And then based on that list, you can create lessons from there. And then it's also a great way to advertise your class, your lesson, because you can say it meets this standard. Now, some parents love that. They are looking for classes like that. Some parents are not looking for that at all. In fact, they prefer not having that lesson linked to any standard. They just want their child to learn something new, something different, or just differently. So just keep that in mind when you are creating those lessons. And if you are, and it does link to a curriculum or to a standard, then just, you can advertise it, or you can choose to leave it out, but knowing at least that it is. We have reached number 11 now, and that one is the final one. It's to think of holidays and seasons. So every time, I live in Canada, and so we have 4 seasons. So every time there's a new season coming up, I can create lessons around that season because that's what we're living in right now, and that can be very interesting for students. And sometimes it can just be interesting for students if I have students from Florida that have never seen snow. I can create a lesson based on snow and show them snow in my classroom, and it's just a little more interesting for them because they don't have that around them. Or if you live by the ocean and there's special fish that you can find, that you can film and show in your classroom or something, that I, in Canada, will never see, could be very interesting for my children. So think of that. Think of the seasons, the season that you're in or that's coming up, as well as the holidays. So you have, it easily creates themes, right? So Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, anything, any holiday. There are so many right now. So you can just start with that, and then those might be lessons that you add on once you've started teaching, or that can be your first lesson because there is a holiday coming up, and usually parents will choose those classes because it's not like they're available all year long, right? You're not going to take a Halloween class in May. So they're really popular because that's the season right now, or that's the holiday at the moment. Okay, and that's all I have for you today. But before I leave, I wanted to add in that once you have your class topic and once you have your class idea, your lesson, remember to think of the age group as well. Sometimes we might have a great idea, but we didn't think that, oh, this is actually too difficult for the younger ones, and I was trying to do it for the younger ones. So then you might just have to readjust. And then the other thing, the most important thing to me, is that there is a learning objective. So make sure that there is a goal to your lesson. What are you teaching the students? If I go back to training dogs, well, I'm teaching my students how to train their dog to fetch. That is the very good specific goal. But if you are creating a class just for fun, it can be fine, but it's even better if you have a learning goal, a learning outcome, and think of what is the child learning, not what am I teaching, but what is the child getting out of this. So if you would like to have a discussion class and just have a show and tell class, that's great. But exactly that, you might want to add in adjectives. Hey, today we're all going to try and use 2 adjectives. Let's review what adjectives are. And then when they show and tell their puppet, or I'm saying puppet, but their toy, then they are just practicing those adjectives. And 2 is a reasonable amount. And then they're going to hear everybody else also use some. So that is a great way to make your class very appealing to parents. I have a lesson plan template that I created linked below that you can get for free, and I've also put in my own lesson in there so that you can compare, and it's more than what Outschool will be looking for. So when you are creating a lesson for Outschool, they're not going to be asking everything that I put in that lesson, but I wanted to be sure that I covered all of my bases when I wrote out that lesson plan. So it's just good for you to have for yourself, but it's not going to be required. All of it is not going to be required for when you actually write out your lesson for Outschool. I also have a video on how to get hired, so the application process, you can check that out as well. If you are now ready, now that I've helped you think of ideas, well then perfect. Again, use my link if you would like me to be your mentor. If not, use somebody else's link to help you get through this application process, because then you will have someone to speak to and to ask questions to, and I just think it's really, really helpful. But that's it, guys. I hope you feel inspired. I hope you have a ton of ideas. Write it out, map it out, whatever works for you, but the sky is the limit. Almost. There are a few exceptions, and you'll learn about those once you do get hired. Like you can't teach classes, religious classes, and then there are also, you can't, if you're going to teach an exercise class, you can't promote a company like Beachbody when you are teaching those classes. But that's about it. So catch my next video, which is going to be on how to create a lesson plan. Or how to fill out a lesson plan, because I already created the template for you. But just to kind of go through the steps and what you need to be thinking about as you're writing your lesson. I hope I helped, and thanks for watching, guys.